everybody wants to convince that their opinion is right. I think for me, I like to start with why you're thinking that. So like, why do you have that opinion? Like, what prompted this flow of thoughts to get to this action that you were having or this behavior that you're exhibiting? Because then you get to see like, okay, like this is where we differ in our backgrounds. And so then I kind of understand why you have this point of view. Like, I don't agree with it, but now I see that there's some reasoning for it. Because I feel like most of the times when it comes to debates, we have a habit of just yelling at each other that the other person is wrong and we're right, and then no one's listening. And I think that makes you feel better because you're yelling at someone to kind of get your point across, but it's not going to do anything. The way that people should have these kinds of debates, whether it's on a small issue or whether it's something big like politics or something like that, is to just hear out the other person and then respond based on the fact that now they know their background and their experiences and the reasoning for why they have that opinion.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is it's okay to disagree, but we should listen to each other and maybe perhaps try and understand a little bit about where the other person's coming from.
Yeah.
I think if everyone took that advice, by the way, we wouldn't have half the stuff going on that we see in our government right now.
Oh my God. Yeah.
People would be happier. So that's awesome advice. That is fantastic stuff. Very, very, very good point. So what gets you out of bed each morning? Like take us through your day. Like what's driving you? What gets you excited? What's some of the new things that are coming down the pike? And how do you get past some of these challenges?
Yeah. So a typical day for me at Cornell, I go to class. This is the majority of my day.
Okay.
So I wake up, I'm an electrical and computer engineering major, but I also have potential minors in computer science and business. So I'm taking a combination of those classes. So for today, for example, I took a discrete math class. So I went to that lecture. I have a class that's on intelligent physical systems, which is basically a fancy way to say smart robots. So I went to that lecture. I went to a lecture for financial accounting principles. So for me, I go to all these classes. And the great thing about being an upperclassman is now I'm done with all my general engineering requirements. I've taken chemistry and my physics and all the stuff that I kind of need to know, but isn't super relevant to my specific major. Now I get to delve into analog integrated circuits and learn more about that. Or next semester, I'm going to take something called functional programming. So I get to take that. So for me, kind of in terms of academics, what gets me out of bed in the morning is the fact that I'm going to learn something new. Because when it comes to my major, there's a lot of paths you can take. There's the hardware route, there's the software route, there's a combination of the two. You can veer towards computer engineering or electrical engineering. There's like so many things you can do after you graduate. And for me, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So I took all these classes that when I read the syllabi sounded interesting to me, sounded like something I wanted to delve into more. And now I get to sit and lecture, go to lab and have discussions about these topics. So for me, it's a combination of like being excited about the material, but also being excited about the fact that maybe I won't like that lecture, but then I know, okay, I don't want to pursue that path at this moment at least. So it's kind of like narrowing down what I want to do when I graduate.
But I love this. I love this thirst for knowledge you have. This is so key. And I see a lot of younger folks have this, and I appreciate that about young folks. They're so curious and there's such a thirst for knowledge and to learn. They don't always know where it's going to take them, but obviously the more you know, the more doors that can open up and the more opportunities that you could recognize. And I love that. That is fantastic. So share with us, I guess, if you will, about your role as a woman in technology and what you're trying to advocate for, because you've really been a pioneer in a lot of ways in helping bring women and minorities and people that aren't always associated with technology. It seems like you're kind of bringing them together and giving them a chance, right? Where they thought prior to they didn't have really a chance, or they weren't sure the path. Can you talk about that a little bit? Yeah.
So I definitely want to start with like my background. So I definitely acknowledge that I have some sort of platform because I have privilege. I am a white woman. I'm a straight white woman. I grew up with parents who were very passionate about education and would basically do anything to get me into a good school or a good program. And because of that, I was able to have opportunities to attend the Girls Code program, to have high school internships, which is basically unheard of in most cases, and to be involved in some of these support networks. So for me, my role as a woman in tech is kind of to bring up those other groups and minorities that don't necessarily have that platform, because it's hard to learn about technology or learn about the possibilities of STEM when you go to schools that aren't necessarily as high ranking or have as many resources, or you live in a more rural or suburban community that doesn't necessarily have a girls code program or like a computing club or something like that. Or if you don't have role models in your life who you can look up to in terms of not only like professions, but like work ethic or drive to go to college or pursue a second degree or something like that. So for me, I try to use my privilege as being a person who is able to have all these experiences and be able to try to advocate for the people who don't necessarily have those experiences, whether it's women or whether it's minorities or LGBTQ people, just because they all have these disadvantages, especially when it comes to like our education system. They all have these disadvantages in terms of resources and opportunities. And honestly, in my opinion, it's not fair, because there's probably people who grew up in a different kind of situation than me, who are probably smarter than me, but just didn't have the same access. And so I'm here at Cornell, like studying, being able to pay my tuition, being able to have jobs. And they might not necessarily have that opportunity. Maybe they have to work for their family, or maybe they can't go to anything other than a community college, or maybe they didn't even have the chance to like graduate high school or something like that. So when it comes to using my privilege, I'm trying to make sure that that's something that I'm aware of, and that whenever I'm founding a hackathon or putting my name behind some sort of support network or opportunity or something like that, that I try to make sure that it's as open to diversity and all types of diversities as possible. And that could be anything from gender diversity to racial diversity to financial diversity, everything like that. Because I feel like every kid has a potential to do whatever they want, whether it's tech or anything else. And they should have the opportunity to have that decision. They shouldn't have that decision made for them based on where they were born or in what circumstances they grew up in. Instead, they should just be able to have everything at their fingertips and then be able to make the decision themselves through experiencing all these different fields or opportunities. And then when they have to make that decision, they can point to something and be like, yeah, I want to do that because I learned that I really want to do that. And
wow.
That's kind of my passion. Yeah.
That's very, very admirable. And thank you for doing that, because not enough people are taking, like you said, taking their privilege and paying it forward and helping other people who maybe don't have that opportunity. And by the way, you're talking to my passion now. You're talking about freedom, right? You're talking about having the opportunity. For me, and what we talk about on the show a lot is freedom. And freedom is just giving yourself a choice, being able to choose without having to be put into a box or be told you can't, having that choice to do it. So just a couple last questions real quick. What advice would you like to give to our younger listeners about success, entrepreneurship, business, or really any topic, I suppose?
Yeah, I think for me personally, it took me a long time to realize this, but success is not a straight line. I'm 20. I don't know a lot about having a career or having passions. Like, I've only been alive for 2 decades. But I've realized over the course of my education that there are different paths that I wanted to travel down. Like, I wanted to be an architect, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, and now I want to be an electrical and computer engineer. Maybe in 10 years, I want to go into business. I don't know. But with every twist and turn, I've had a different passion. I've had obstacles in my way. I've had programs that I haven't gotten into. I've had people who maybe didn't work as hard as I think I did, and they get certain opportunities. But for me, it was just realizing that whatever happens, happens. And the best thing for you is to be prepared for whatever situation you're going into, whether it's studying or networking or anything like that. Just being prepared and focusing on yourself before you apply to whatever opportunity or you try to move forward in your career or academic interest or something like that. And then if you get that rejection, just realize that at that moment in time, it wasn't meant to be. And to just kind of pick yourself up, realize maybe the mistakes you made that led to you not getting that opportunity, or maybe the reasons why that wasn't maybe the best plan for you, and kind of moving on and building yourself up after that. Because I can tell you right now, I look successful. Like, sure, if you look at my resume, you're like, oh my God, she's done so much. But oh boy, have I had so many rejections. Like, it's just a hallmark of life. Like, you're not going to get everything that you want, but you kind of have to build yourself up after every mistake and rejection. And by making those mistakes, you grow as a person, you learn a lot about yourself, and then you eventually will get to that path, that goal, that like aspect of success that you've defined in your mind. And then whenever you reach that goal, like maybe it isn't being the CEO of your own company. Maybe it's just buying a house and living comfortably. Maybe it isn't like having like 3 yachts or something. Maybe it's just like, having a family and having a job and being able to juggle both of them. So like the definition of success for you and the path of success for you is different between everybody. And I guess like to sum that all up, it's different between everybody. So because of that, you should definitely focus on yourself and your own journey and your own goals, and kind of focus on your own personal growth rather than looking around and seeing how other people are doing, because it's not relevant to you at all. It's not relevant to your own growth. What's important is what you think in your mind of yourself and what steps you want to take to get to the goals that you have in mind.
I love it. I love it. Thank you. So success is not a straight line.
Mm-hmm.
Always be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And rejection's going to happen. Get used to it. Get past it. And in fact, the way to learn and the way we always learn is through our mistakes, right? Through our challenges. You are wise beyond your years. So very last question. What current projects, what events, what promotions would you like people to know about? And how does the audience reach you?
Yeah, so I guess maybe I'll just talk about the organizations I'm affiliated with. So at the beginning, you said that I'm the president and founder of Alpha Mega Epsilon at Cornell. So that is an engineering sorority, which is amazing. It's a very young engineering sorority. We're in our second year on Cornell, but nationally, it's like 35 years old, which is extremely young for a sorority. So if you are in college and if you are a female technical science or STEM major and you do not have an engineering Greek organization, get on that. If that's something that you're very passionate about, definitely go and found a chapter yourself, because I found a great connection amongst the girls that we have in our sorority. And these are girls that I wouldn't have met otherwise, which is amazing. And then outside campus, I do organize a couple hackathons, and I'm the co-founder of a couple hackathons. So the most recent ones that I'm working on are Forward Code and Program Hers. Both are hackathons that are meant to kind of bring people together and form communities. For Forward Code, it's in regards to social good and kind of moving past the political divide that we have and making sure that we can just solve issues that affect like humanity. And then Program Hers is kind of along the lines of my diversity passion, which is for girls to get interested in tech and maybe the non-traditional aspects of tech as well, and be able to, after this event, go and continue with their career having learned something new and having a support system behind them. So for me, those are all the organizations and affiliations that are at this point in time closest to my heart. And if you ever wanted to find more information on them, definitely follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Coder Caitlin, and then stay up to date with my blog at caitlin.site, because I have a tendency to write about all those things constantly and post about them constantly, because I'm so excited about the paths they can take and the opportunities that they can give to other people.
By the way, your website is very well done. So I definitely would recommend you check that. I love that. Yeah, better looking than mine, I'll put it that way. But that's a very low bar. So take that for what it's worth. But anyways, thank you, Caitlin. You've been an amazing example of passion, dedication, mental toughness. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and sharing some of your story. And to our listeners, thank you for joining me today. I hope you got a few golden nuggets from our discussion earlier and from Caitlin's story. Definitely check out her website. Be sure to do that and follow her on all kinds of social media, but apparently Instagram is a really important one. And of course, like our Broke is No Joke Facebook page, leave a comment in our Facebook group about what you learned today. We're going to have a show recap, and the recap is going to have Caitlin's information. We're going to have a worksheet and all that kind of stuff on our blog at brokeisnojoke.org. And take the 100-word challenge. right? Take that challenge. And of course, share with your friends, because I'm telling you guys, you just might save a life. It might be Caitlin's story that resonates with them. It might be something I spoke about, but the more people that get exposed to this and we can start building our community, the better it's going to be for everyone, because the tide's going to rise all ships. So to be sure to tune in